Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continued today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the Gold Standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thank you for joining us and welcome to the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn. Happy to be back together again and certainly happy and grateful to have all of you with us. And of course, we say grateful, thankful because it is Thanksgiving weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, Ken Russo.
Yeah, it's a great time of year. I'm so thankful to be here with you every week and Mike, and we have wonderful people to talk to, and it's all good.
And it is all good because what this show does is tells you that you can have safety, security, personal freedoms. You can protect all of that. You don't have to have the government dictate what things are in your family with all of that money you've worked so hard to earn. So today's topic.
You don't have full faith in the government and for them to make the right decisions?
It's a stunner, Ken, but no, I do not. I don't
That's
have
perplexing.
full
Why
faith.
would you think that? That's...
Well, look, I've seen the president, and you know what? Actually, sometimes we roll him in, every once in a while. It was his 81st birthday.
Okay.
And by the way, not an ageist. I think there are plenty of 81-year-olds. There are plenty of 91-year-olds and 101-year-olds that do just fine. But, when you ask Joe Biden something very serious, like, President Biden, is Bidenomics working? What does he say?
Yeah, like, why is the dollar being devalued? Or, what's with all this money printing? Or, does the cost to service our debt over $1 trillion, important? Well, how do you see this all playing out? And I've thought about this too.
Right.
And his response would be pretty simple. Well, how old are you, baby?
That's right. He's always,
and that would be it.
Keeping an eye on the young kids. That's
and
for
he
sure.
can turn around and, knock himself
Buffalo
into the wall or trip over something. But, all kidding aside, it's a clown planet. It's a clown world.
It's pretty scary stuff.
It's being all based on printed, mouse-clicked money.
Yep.
The debt is astronomical. So, unfortunately, that's the position we're in today. But I'm thankful that there's gold because that's a way that we could kind of shelter ourselves from being financially ruined when all this other stuff comes tumbling down.
And that's the theme of our show today. We're
That's
thankful that there is gold. So let's talk about it because we always like to start at the beginning, and we might have a whole cast of characters joining us today because we're in kind of a silly mood today. But it all started when Richard Nixon was in office, when he decided to say, you know what, we don't need gold back in those dollars anymore. And look at what happened. Now, Ken, I know you have a close personal relationship. You're like a kinship.
Yes.
With former President Nixon. How did this go down in his office, do you
think?
think?
Well, don't forget, none of these decisions that these presidents are making are their own decisions.
Well, this is true.
Okay, there's an agenda. Obviously, there's some sort of a powerful force behind them, whatever you want to call it, okay?
It's a puppeteer.
Yes. And in 1971, we were still, had a somewhat strong dollar, but at that particular moment, we were running out of gold. And remember, other countries were still allowed to convert their currency, U.S. dollars, into gold.
Right.
We weren't as United States citizens, but foreigners were allowed. They stopped us being able to do that in 1933. So they rolled out Tricky Dick, and they made him talk to the nation, and he said, the dollar is no longer convertible to gold.
Right.
And, for the benefit of the dollar and the stability of the United States of America, I am ending the gold standard. And basically, that meant that we have a fiat money system. It's a central banking system. We have the Federal Reserve Bank here in the United States, which, is basically in charge of what's going on. They're the people that loan us all this money. Imagine how ridiculous it is that the United States of America makes these bonds out of thin air.
I know.
Okay? They loan these bonds out. People buy the bonds. We print money, and then we pay interest on the money that we borrow. I mean, how ridiculous is this?
It's a system that does not work.
It's crazy. But now it's gotten so big and so dangerous that our money is obviously losing tremendous buying power. The banking system is very, very unsafe and risky because the banks trade derivatives and it's a fractional banking system. And the only answer that we can get from our leaders, well, besides the one that we just got from our president, is that we're going to mouse click more money and we're going to take on more debt. Now, the problem is this, Jen.
Yeah.
A lot of these other countries don't want to buy our debt anymore.
No. Would you?
Well, no. And we talked about last week on how Moody's downgraded the United States debt. So who's going to buy these bonds if these other countries don't want to buy the bonds?
Do you have the answer for that?
Well, unfortunately, yeah, I do. And people that are listening to this program are not going to like hearing who's going to be left holding the bag. The Fed was buying these bonds for a while. Now they've stopped. Now they've made their banks, the Fed banks, buy these bonds. So when all of this kind of ends, who's going to be left to buy these bonds? Well, probably people like you and me. So if you have an IRA or if you have an old 401k or if you have money at the bank, probably going to be made, well, for the good of America.
Got to help us out.
Help us out. Take some of your money. No big deal. What's better than having, the full faith of a U.S. bond? You get a
faith.
Yeah, you get a guaranteed interest rate. All the stuff that we hear all the day.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. Guaranteed. Your principal is guaranteed. You get a guaranteed interest rate. I mean, it's nonsense.
Right.
So the point being is, how do you distance yourself from being stuck? How do you distance yourself from being locked in that type of a situation where you're told, well, this is what you're going to do with your money, or else there's ramifications.
Right.
So that's where gold comes in. I'm thankful that we could have purchasing power outside of the system in the form of physical gold and physical silver. We're thankful that we have an opportunity to do that. And in essence, we can survive any type of meltdown, any type of crash, any type of big devaluation that's coming because, folks, we will have a currency crisis.
Absolutely.
It's inevitable.
And I want to underscore, and by the way, you should talk to the folks over at Midas Gold Group. Do not wait just because it's a holiday weekend. Get on the phone. You can do a couple of things, actually. If you like to do your business in person, I do. You can go to Thousand Oaks. If you are in California, you can go to Phoenix, Arizona, 2 locations where you can walk in and have a face-to-face meeting with your advisor. You can also call 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653, or if you like to text, you can text the word gold to 232425. And of course, always check out MidasGoldGroup.com. But I want to underscore, you talked about an IRA and a 401k. This is an easy way for people to really get involved in gold and precious metals and protecting yourself, taking yourself out of the system, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to keep all of their money connected to a system that's ultimately going to be digital. We are going to have a CBDC. I mean, you want to have all of your assets wrapped up in a system like that? Not to mention it's not safe. Not to mention who knows what our money's going to be worth or what our paper investments are going to be worth when this big bubble pops. So if you say to yourself, well, I'd like to kind of diversify. I would like to kind of spread my bets out a little bit.
Hedge.
Yeah, maybe have some tangible assets instead of all this paper. Who knows what this really is? It's just digits on a screen. Who knows what when it really comes down to it, what is it really worth? What's it going to buy? So for people that say, hey, I can do gold. I know silver will always be worth something. I want it outside of the banking system. I don't want all of my assets wrapped up in this sick, dying banking system that's being supported by fake printed money and debt. I want to protect myself.
Yeah.
So take some of your old 401k, take some of your IRA, or if you have some cash balances at the bank, or just maybe some regular non-qualified accounts like stocks or something, or maybe an annuity, diversify, hedge your bets. You don't have to be all wrapped up in those types of assets. Get something that's tangible. The whole world is moving towards tangible assets. All of the central banks are buying more gold than they ever have been in history.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, they're printing more paper money than they ever have. And that's going to be very damaging to the value of our paper money.
You know, it's really interesting. I host the Morning Answer on AM 870, AM 590, The Answer in Los Angeles
And
with
you
Grant.
do a hell of a job.
Well, thank you, Ken. And I have a co-host, Grant Stinchfield, who maybe some of you have seen on Real America's Voice. And he always says to me, China is buying gold. I'm doing what China's doing. And that may seem a little dark and a little crazy, but you look at what the rest of the world is doing and you go, what do they know that the United States isn't telling us? And that's why it makes it more important than ever to diversify, hedge your bets. Not only are you escaping the system that is inflated, the dollar is devalued, but you've got a banking system that continues to collapse and it just seems like no one's paying attention. So bring some of that real money, real assets, tangible goods home with you to protect yourself. Gold and silver is the thing to do. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. MidasGoldGroup.com always is the website, and you can text if you prefer. 232425. Text the word gold. 232425. And Ken, we always talk about gold on this program, but you brought some silver in for us today, right?
Yeah, I did. And maybe we can talk a little bit about the Morgan silver dollar after the breaks, because I want to give it some time. Yeah, I do. I think in the last few weeks, I've just brushed over the products real quick. So we'll give this some time. But I did want to comment about something that you said.
Yep.
And all of these other countries they understand gold. Mm-hmm. Okay? They understand tangible assets. And that's why these countries are not only buying gold, but they are selling U.S. treasuries, which is very, very, very important. They're banding together these other countries, like the BRIC nations, and they're going to have a currency. For people who haven't heard of
the BRIC nations, this is...
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and they added 6 more, and there's like 20 more countries that want to join. So
they have no interest in the dollar.
Well, you're talking about tangible assets, you're talking about gold and silver countries, you're talking about oil countries like Iran and United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Saudi Arabia have joined after the first of the year. So there's a grassroots movement worldwide to tangible assets like gold, but unfortunately our country is stuck in debt. It's stuck with student debt, which our government counts as our number one asset on our balance sheet. Unfortunately, it's a serious situation that's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
So follow the money, like Grant says. Gold is what the central banks are accumulating, and in my opinion, that's exactly what you should be doing.
855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD. More up ahead. We're going to talk about that Morgan Stanley dollar and a whole lot more.
Morgan
Stanley silver dollar.
Are they still in business, Morgan Stanley?
It's the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
Welcome back. It is the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn. Thank you for joining us. You want to get in touch with Midas Gold Group? Do it. Don't wait another minute. 855-322-4653. You want to put something really nice under the Christmas tree? Gold and silver, point. Right?
Yeah.
855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, MidasGoldGroup.com, and of course, text GOLD to 232425. Now, I love show and tell.
Yeah.
I love when you bring sparkling, beautiful things into the studio. And today you have the Morgan silver dollar with you.
And I love silver stacking.
Silver stacking.
It's like poker chips. But
It does
silver.
feel like that,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Now,
Is that like the 12 days of Christmas silver stacking?
I don't know what it is, but I like it. It feels real.
Well, it is real.
Feels like real money.
Let's hear it.
So,
You hear how heavy that is? That's pretty good.
yeah.
It's like a payout.
Morgan silver dollar. I know that we've spent some time on the silver eagle the last few weeks, which is my favorite silver coin, has been going up in value. But I think people have forgotten about the Morgan silver dollar.
Mm-hmm.
This is the coin that was basically real money in the 1800s. It came out in 1870, in the 1870s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's a very large silver coin. It's 10% copper and 90% silver.
Very pretty.
They stopped making these coins, Jen, in 1921.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the ones that are most valuable are anywhere from 1878 to 1904.
Okay.
So there's some mintages that many didn't survive, or there was not many that are of great quality. A lot of the Morgan silver dollars that are stamped with a CC, which is the Carson City mint,
yeah,
are very valuable. So I think that if someone's looking to take advantage of the silver situation, which is the demand has been very, very strong the last few years because of all the industrial demand, like solar panels.
All the green stuff needs metal, right?
And you're going to start hearing real soon, well, we're going to print money to save the world.
Yeah.
We're going to print a lot of money to save the world. We're going to save all these solar companies, all these green energy companies, blah, blah, blah. We talked a little bit about that last week. But if you're looking to take advantage of a metal like silver, where the supply has been pretty consistent and flat over the last 23 years, but the demand is going up exponentially, how could the price be half of where we were in 1980? It makes no sense. It's obviously manipulated. Our contention is eventually the banks, which manipulate these markets through derivatives, they're going to have enough of problems just running their everyday businesses, and they're going to lose control of these markets. A lot of these derivatives are going to blow up. So it's our contention, if gold and silver can just trade based on their own merits, they will be significantly higher 5 or 10 years from now.
Sure.
Because it's going to reflect all this stuff that's going on, plus less manipulation. And I think the silver, the Morgan silver dollar, should be something that people are considering right now if the silver eagles are unavailable.
Now, this is one of the things that I know is a really basic question, and I know it depends on people's situation, but I think a lot of people, if you are brand new to gold and silver and you're hearing this and you go, this makes sense, I like the idea of personal freedom, of having that power in my own hands, not having to trust the banks or the government. There are a lot of people who go, do I want gold and silver? They feel kind of confused if they're just starting out. So if someone calls Midas Gold Group, what happens for that person who calls maybe the first time, someone who wants to get into gold and precious metals?
Well, that's why they call, Jen, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody knows how to do something, go ahead and do it.
Right,
The most
you do it on your
important-
own.
Yeah, just do it. But for some people that want to be educated about gold and silver, the different ways to own it, how do I move funds into it? How do I move money into it? How do I do a rollover? How do I do a transfer? That's what we're there for.
Sure.
We're there to develop relationships. And once again, the point being is if we get a CBDC, if we get a banking crisis, if we get a debt crisis, you know, if we get a lower dollar, it loses purchasing power. How do you hold purchasing power outside of that sick system with this sick money that we have that's being printed into oblivion by our wonderful leaders that have no clue of what's going on? How do you protect yourself? And this is where the gold and silver comes in. We'll explain the process. We'll explain the products, what's available at this particular time, what's a good value, what's too expensive. It's a relationship. So for people that are looking to take diversification very seriously with a tangible asset, this is how we can assist them.
And I love that you talk about that personal contact that you have with people, because I think so oftentimes there are other companies, maybe bigger companies, where you call and you feel like you're just talking to a call center, someone who is not taking into account your own personal situation. At Midas Gold Group, you're getting real people who will take into account your concerns, your situation. and you'll figure it out. Do I want gold? Do I want silver? What is going to best protect me? But the idea is tangible assets at home will protect you and your family. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653. You can text GOLD to 232425. Always MidasGoldGroup.com. And we tell you every time, you can go see them in person. There's a storefront in Thousand Oaks. There's a storefront in Phoenix, Arizona. You can have a face-to-face chat about how to do this and how to get involved. Or if you're just looking for a new gold dealer, this is a great place to start.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question.
Yes, okay.
Can I ask a question?
I'm thankful that we have an opportunity to possibly get gold and silver. Very thankful.
I'm thankful for this too. And by the way, I don't know if he's thankful or not, but the Senate Minority Leader is Mitch McConnell. And, there's a lot of talk about inflation, just how much your Thanksgiving meal cost you, what your holiday situation is going to look like.
Somebody would ask him a serious question like that, or somebody that's in power. This is a powerful man.
He is a powerful man.
Yes.
And he has a lot to say. And so my question, I think, if I could talk to Mitch McConnell,
what would you ask him,
the
Jen?
Senate Minority Leader, is, what should we do? Why is there so much inflation? What is that going to do to our purchasing power during the holiday season?
That's a hell of a question.
Thank you.
But I kind of know how he would answer that.
You do? What do you think he would say?
Well, first, after he just kind of stared into the abyss.
He's taking it all in.
Yeah, thinking about it. Then the answer would probably be, and listen.
You think that's
So,
what he'd say?
you know what that makes me want to do, Jen?
Tell me.
Run down to the bank, fill out
pull
one
it
of
all
those
out.
withdrawal deposit, those withdrawal slips, and take a good portion of it out and go get some more gold.
Now, what would Mitch McConnell say about you doing that? All right. So, yes, we have a little fun.
Yeah.
He is consistent. He is a consistent communicator. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But let's talk about purchasing power, because that's one of the top issues here. You've got inflation that's ridiculous. You
That's
have
right.
The dollar that's been devalued. And it's this time of year when we start looking around and we compare costs to what we paid last year, 3 years ago, 5 years ago.
But they say they have this all under control.
I don't believe them, Ken. Don't believe them. So why are we in this situation?
Well, the deficit is huge. They keep
Yeah.
printing money. I think that we've probably added to the money supply 30-40% over the last few years. And you want to know what, Jen?
Tell
the
me.
whole world is printing money. Now, we used to be able to export a lot of that inflation, the dollars, and we would send the dollars to other countries, and then they send us refrigerators and phones and all. But things have changed. People here in this country are now starting to realize that their money keeps losing tremendous value. Their savings are dwindling. Their purchasing power is disappearing. So you have to ask yourself, what has a long track record of holding or gaining purchasing power no matter how much money they print? And we all know they're going to print hundreds of trillions of dollars or more paper money, fiat money. You have to own gold and silver. And those are the reasons why. So you're going to continue to see the government lie about inflation numbers. You're going to continue to see lies about the strength of the dollar. Just go to the gas station, go to the grocery store, look at all your bills. You tell me if our money's being devalued or not.
Oh, it was great. This week at the White House press briefing, Karine Jean-Pierre came out with a full menu for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
She's
All right.
another one we should work on an impression of. And she hands out the menu and she says, look, Thanksgiving's, 3 cents cheaper than it was last year. But I don't think anybody who is a real
Thanksgiving
person
is 3 cents cheaper this year than it was. I mean,
anybody who's a real person who has been
They're
to a
delusional.
grocery store knows the truth. Everything is more expensive. Our dollar is just buying less, and they can try to skew all those numbers that they want, but we all know what it feels like.
Well, that's right. And you got to do something about it today. You still have an opportunity to do so. You can still get to your money at the bank. You can still get to your IRAs. People are still answering the phone at your 401k company. So while they still are, while you have an opportunity to hedge your bets and diversify, my contention is that's exactly what you should do, at least with some of your money.
Well, I am thankful for you, Ken Russo. I am thankful for all of you joining us today. And certainly, I am thankful that there is Midas Gold Group, that there is still an option, that we're not just putting our faith in the hands of the government.
You don't have to be handcuffed to the banking system.
You don't
have to be handcuffed to what the government is telling us to do with our money. There are options, and gold and silver is an easy option.
And don't wait. This week, just do yourself a favor. Call Midas Gold Group, 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, MidasGoldGroup.com. You can text GOLD to 232425. 855-322-GOLD. Thanks for joining us. It's a Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.